Sorry about that. Had a little technical difficulties. Now I'm going to continue on with my story. Well, after that man contacted the local authorities, they found him and found his house. And it was just a horror story to begin with. They see family members chewed and eaten, and it's just crazy. But eventually, after it calms down, the man who's eaten these people starts telling his story. What happened was, during that couple months, within the first month, his son has died from starvation. Then he starts hearing these whispers. These whispers tell him to eat. Well, there's nothing around there to eat. They're already having to ration, so he doesn't want his wife or kid to die, so he just goes along with it. Then the hunger pains start growing worse. And he just keeps hearing these whispers. Eventually, the whispers tell him to eat the child that's already dead. He thinks it's survival of the fittest. He eventually hides it from his family, but he eats the child. Well, eventually, after he finishes up with the child, he feels full, satisfied. But the next day, the whispers get worse and the hunger pains are worse than ever before. He gets hungrier and hungrier. He doesn't know what to do, but eventually, he ends up killing his other child behind his wife's back. He eventually eats them too, but his wife was starting to get suspicious. He was worried that she was going to catch on, but he was in so much pain due to her hunger. He just needed more. So when the wife was about to catch on, he killed her. But after a while, the storm stopped and everything was fine, but the hunger was still there. He tried to eat regular food, but it just wouldn't satisfy him enough. Eventually, he had to kill the other person, and that's when he got caught. But to this day, he still says he feels that hunger in the whispers. And that's the story that I'm telling you about. This is how the Wendigo possesses people, or how they say a Wendigo possesses people. They hear the whispers, and the Wendigo tells them that they need to eat. And no matter how much they eat of human flesh, they'll never really be full forever. They'll keep wanting more and more. And I'm going to go to the next slide. Even though these are myths, there's explanations for this. When I first found out about the Wendigo, it was on Animal Planet. And on Animal Planet, Kevin Vulcan, a PhD professor of psychology, talks about how this has to do with psychological effects. It has on people who are isolated, where they feel like they're in a group of people, but no matter what, they feel like after a while, they feel like they become a demon. Like they're hungry. This is a very rare thing, but it does happen. Or at least that's what he was talking about. It does happen. And it causes them to think they're a demon and devour people. This is called Wendigo psychosis. And this is what I think the Native Americans were trying to warn us about. It wasn't just a myth. It was their story, or how they described what was going on. And I believe that's the last slide. It is.